We are back with our next episode of our Monday Mailbag series. This is the series where you guys ask questions and we just answer them, man. So, any questions, make sure to drop them down below. We need more questions, so just drop them down below. Also, like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff if y'all enjoyed this content. And let's go ahead and get into our first question of the day. We have a couple questions, probably going to go over the timer. You already know how we get. First question. How can we make the off-season structure better for pretty much college football 27 when we get that game? Because 26, we're not getting no changes. I don't think no major changes for the rest of the year. I'll be surprised. This is an interesting question because I kind of talked about this, I think, in the previous Monday mailbag, but things have changed pretty significantly since then. So in the last version when I talked about this, I mentioned we need 2 transfer portal periods like we had the previous couple years in real life. And then that same week when I dropped that video, they changed the ruling. So there won't be no 2 transfer portal periods. It will only be 1. And then also the transfer portal is reduced from 30 days to 2 weeks. So some pretty major changes. You know, it used to be 2 portals and then both portals, I think the second portal was open maybe for a week or 2, and then that first portal was open for like 30 days. So you just had a really tough, portal window for coaches and staff to deal with. But this upcoming year, we're just not going to have that. So in the video game, we'll have 4 weeks to bring in players. Well, if they're going to make it realistic, they will only give us 2 weeks now. And that's simply not enough. I was, previously saying we need more weeks. We need 2 transfer portal windows. And my thought process, it'll help out with the guys that, they encourage the transfer period. You encourage guys to transfer and then they end up being in that second portal window. And then all the high school guys, the transfer guys that end up not finding a home, they will also be in that second portal window. And it'll just lead to less players disappearing overall. But obviously that did not happen. Oh, man, we forgot to put the timer up. Put the timer up now. F it. Put the timer up now. But it just not happening that way as far as like being able to have 2 portal windows. I think that would have really helped the actual video game. Now, how are they going to do it? Because I don't think they will reduce it to 2 portal windows or 2 weeks of simming because you're just not able to bring in guys. You just won't be able to bring in a lot of transfers, and you'll have probably even more players disappearing in the portal if you reduce it to 2 windows in game. And then maybe you do it to days, or by days. That's how 2K does it. When you hit the free agency, you sim, and it's like simming each day. I think it's like 7 days, so like 7 different sims, but you have a bunch of different opportunities to bring in free agents during that period, or you could kind of sim it all. So maybe they should switch it to days, maybe, but 14 days would be a lot. I really don't know the perfect answer to how to structure this upcoming offseason and college football 27, man. Please drop any feedback y'all have down below because it's going to be interesting. It's going to be weird. I'm also expecting for some sort of NIL rev share to be in the game, some sort of it, right? It got to be. Year 3, it got to be in the game, one way or another. Even if it's, the most simple thing, it got to be in the game. And people say, oh, brand exposure or recruiting hours, that's NIL. That's not NIL. Far from it. But I'm expecting EA to figure out, man. They get paid the big bucks. They'll figure out how to, put it in the game. And if I think of a better idea, I will mention it. But let's go ahead and get into the next question. How do you think the coaching carousel will unfold after this season? And who should LSU and Florida hire for their jobs? I'm very interested in the coaching carousel, man. I feel like the amount of, just big time jobs that's currently open and will be open by the end of the year. It's like, what happens? Do a guy like Kenny Dillingham, will he consider his job right now at Arizona State? Is that his destination job? He went to school there. Is that his destination job? It 100% could. That he could never want to leave there, and I wouldn't be mad at him. If I was Kenny personally, if I got a chance to coach at my alma mater, I wouldn't leave. if I thought I had enough resources and I was going to be able to bring enough talent at some point to win a national championship, I wouldn't leave personally. Arizona is also a great state, a great place to live. So does he end up, going to Florida, going to Penn State, another one of these big job openings, or does he view it as I'm where I'm at, I'm good? A guy like Dan Lanning at Oregon, I think he never leaves. I don't see a reason for him to leave. He got the Oregon money, he got the Phil Knight money. Like, they're good at Oregon. A guy like that would not leave. But can you pull a guy like Kenny away? Lane Kiffin looked to go to another place, and if you're Lane, do you look to go to Florida or LSU? Who knows? It all depends if you think you could win a national championship at your current team, and they're going to make the playoffs. So he may believe that his roster is going to be good enough moving forward, but it's nothing like LSU recruiting wise, all the in-state talent. So I'm just super interested to see what happens. I'm assuming that Tulane head coach is probably going to get a better job offer somewhere else, whether it's Florida or Penn State, whatever. He's probably going to be on the move. So you'll see a lot of coaching moves over the next few weeks. And I think it all depends. Probably the top 3 jobs right now, LSU, Florida, Penn State, when those dominoes go down, because they're probably, a few of those teams probably going to take other head coaches, and you'll see the whole madness that'll happen. And, maybe more jobs open. Maybe the Florida State job open. Who knows? Who knows what other coaches get let go here throughout the season. It's Sunday when I'm recording this, and I don't think I've seen any, major coaches get fired today. Over the last, I think, 3 weeks, every Sunday we seen a major coach get fired on this Sunday. And I haven't seen it yet today, but it still could come. It still could come. I think Brian Kelly didn't get fired till like 9 p.m. on that Sunday. So it still could happen here. All right, let's get into the next question. Also, let me know your thoughts down below. Who do y'all think some of these major jobs or what coaches go where? What was the point of the second roster update in 2 weeks? So I'm here on South Carolina, which is a brand new dynasty with the new roster update. And I noticed some interesting stuff here. Some guys didn't really get upgraded as much as it said on the website. And I'll cover that in the video that's dropping probably tomorrow. When y'all watching this, probably come out tomorrow. But why did they drop the second update in 2 weeks? I feel like they probably felt like they didn't hit the nail on the head or hit the hammer on the head of the nail. They probably just didn't knock it out the park. And a lot of people was complaining about certain teams. People were saying Indiana didn't get a proper update. Whatever team didn't get a proper update. Some teams didn't get a proper downgrade. Clemson, some of these big-time programs are still dominating in simulation, even though they're having a very poor year in real life, but they're still going crazy in sim, which is unfortunate. But I thought maybe it would be, they just upgraded abilities when I first saw the update. No, they actually changed more players' overalls, and then they also kind of fixed the website where you could see what guys went up, what guys went down on the website. Like I said, it's still kind of janky. It's not perfect, but Clemson is now rated as an 88 overall. That's still good enough to win the ACC, year one. If you start a brand new dynasty like this and you go ahead and sim, they may make the playoffs and win the ACC year one because they're, just such a high overall, even though they're having a very poor season. LSU, a team that's, also not going to make the playoffs in real life after suffering another loss. But in the roster update, you still could go win the SEC with this 89 overall team. This is still a good roster here. And they didn't upgrade or update the rankings. We're still ranked number 8 here. So I guess they won't change that throughout the year. So I guess that part is a little bit unfortunate. But and then they didn't really change some guys' abilities. Some guys' abilities went up. Some guys' abilities didn't move at all. But what I noticed is a lot of smaller programs got tweaks. For example, my Temple Owls starting quarterback Evan here, his overall actually went up a few more ticks, but it's not represented here. It's like, it's super janky, man. Sometimes it's represented in the dynasty and sometimes it's not. This is an update that I downloaded. I made this dynasty earlier today. But if I come over here to the actual roster, Evan overall probably will be where it's supposed to be. Yep, it's at an 81, but in that dynasty, it's only at a 80 with the boost, so 79, I believe, before the boost, sound like that. I don't know. It's really weird how this update, or when you have the update and you look at it from this screen, it's fine, but when you take it to your dynasty, it seems to be some issues. Let me know if y'all noticed that as well. But that's something I've definitely noticed here, man. So let's get into the next question. I hope I answered that question. And one last thing on that before we move on. Dropping these 2 roster updates in back-to-back weeks, I feel like what that tell me is we could have been got roster updates. They could have been dropping roster updates, I feel like the best way is every 4 weeks, same along those lines. Week 4, drop a little mini roster update, where you upgrade guys. The big movers is what I'll call it. The big movers is guys through the first 4 games, the guys that's really playing well and the guys that's really playing poorly. Upgrade the big movers. Don't worry about abilities during that week 4 update. Then you drop another one, maybe week 8, week 9, week 10, somewhere in that range. And same concept, the big movers. And then you also fill in the guys that you missed in that first roster update, or guys that, broke out since that first roster update. Instead of just waiting to week 10 where you got to do so much leg work, you got to do so much work. And then when you miss a lot of guys, it feels bad, or it feels, for us, we're annoyed because, like, damn, we don't know when we're going to get the roster update, and they miss so many guys, and then they end up dropping another one the following week. It's like, oh, they do have these capabilities to drop these roster updates back-to-back weeks if, they choose, or if they prioritize it. They do have the ability to do that. Is kind of what this roster update told me. So, ran out of time here, but I still want to get into the rest of my questions here today. So, this one is not really I guess it is a question, but what it is, rank the importance of the following portal, like features, I suppose, or not features, but when you're pursuing a guy, how should you value these 4 things? So overall rank, this is going to be national rank in the portal. The next one is going to be your archetype, a portal guy's archetype. The next one's going to be his class. So, is he a junior or sophomore? And then the last one is going to be previous school. And this person will be to rank the order of importance. First of all, very good question. Excellent question here. So I think the number one important thing on this list is going to be the overall rank, the national rank for that player. That's going to determine, his overall essentially. So if you're going over the 5th best, player, or 5th national ranked player in the portal, he's the 5th highest overall player in the whole entire portal. So in my opinion, that's the number one thing. The next thing is class. I think class rank, if you want to go after younger guys, that's also very important. So going after, sophomores, juniors, freshmen, that is very important. So I'll pick class number 2, and then I'll pick previous school number 3. The reason that's important, because if you're able to get a freshman coming from Georgia, well, that's probably a guy that didn't play and he's transferring. But he could be a former 5-star, 4-star player that just transfer out for playing time. Simple. So I would value that previous school pretty heavily, because if it's a good school and it's a young guy, that guy probably was a high-level recruit and just didn't see the playing time he expected and hopped in the portal. And then last, I'll put the archetype. I don't think the archetype is as important in the portal. I don't. I'll much rather focus on them first 3 things. Archetype still matters, but I would much rather focus on the first 3 things in the portal. And we have 2 more questions here, 2 more questions, and we're going to get into both of them. This next question is going to be a quick one. What's the best sliders for injuries and for wear and tear? So I'm going to quickly hop into my Purdue series here, and I'm going to show you the sliders I'm rocking out with Purdue. And I like these sliders. They're solid so far. So these are going to be the sliders I'm rocking out with Purdue. You could pause the video here if you would like to see the full sliders. These are going to be the injury sliders down here, and then the penalty sliders. And then I'll also even show my wear and tear slider. This is going to be all Mat 10 work. This is Mat 10 sliders that we're using. And these is the latest sliders he have. And these are going to be your wear and tear sliders. And yeah, that's what I'm rocking out with. I would probably suggest putting that transfer portal a little bit lower. But other than that, those sliders are pretty solid. And then last thing, has there been any hidden changes within Dynasty from the last 2 roster updates? Great question. Something I need to dive more into, because it seemed like every update they'll have their patch notes, but then they'll change stuff that's not in the patch notes. Now with these 2 updates, no patch notes, just roster or overall changes. But did they also tweak something, whether it was gameplay or something with Dynasty or something with whatever? So I'm relying on y'all for this one. Let me know anything that y'all think is different, that might feel different, seem different. I'm going to play the game, see if I notice anything myself. But yet, I haven't noticed anything that feels different or seems different at all. So possible, if any hidden changes. We just have to, wait and discover them as we play the game. But that's all I got for y'all boys. If y'all enjoy the content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate y'all boys, and we on to the next one.